Thank you for tuning in to another one of my stories. Today's story is about when I was in school. I was about 16, 17 years old. I went to this school in Kansas, and I was in this one particular class. Well, let me tell you about the school. In the entire school, it was probably 3 black people. Not probably, it was 3 black people. It was a predominantly white school, which really didn't bother me. However, I had a couple incidents that were questionable. We'll get into that later. But the main story I want to tell you about is this one English class that I was taking with this one English teacher. Today's content is sponsored by Sunday Morning Travel Agency. I've had people ask me, who do I book through when I travel? Easy answer, Sunday Morning Travel Agency. I book my flight, I book my hotel stay, book my car rental. I can book tours, activities, excursions. I can even buy a digital SIM card for my phone. So when my plane touches down, I'm already connected. Check out the site, Sunday Morning Travel Agency. The link is in the description. She would have us write, once a week, she would have us write on somebody that we admired, like the hero of the week, so to speak. So on my first writing was on, I believe it was Jesse Owens. I wrote this nice article about Jesse Owens and his accomplishments and how he started and his how he rose to be the fastest man in the world. When I turned it in, she got the paper, I got it back. She marked it up with all these red marks and told me it was a horrible job and gave me like a D. So okay. That following week, I wrote another article on Martin Luther King Jr. Same thing, marked it up, horrible marks, gave me a D. The following week, I wrote it up on Malcolm X. Huey P. Newton, all D's, all low marks. She said, you need to learn to write. You're going to fail the class. I said, okay. The following week, after she threatened to flunk me out of the class, I wrote up an article on this little girl. She was 8 years old at the time, but she had gained national fame for being able to play the violin. She played the violin well. I wrote it up, talked about how her parents had inspired her after they discovered that she was pretty good at playing the violin with no lessons, and they took they put her in school and had her to develop her skills as a violin player, and she was so good that she, like I said, she gained national attention. So I wrote it up and I turned the article in. She looked at it and she came back to me. She said, now you're learning to write. You finally wrote something decent. And she gave me an A for the paper. I said, okay, cool. So she said, I'm curious, where'd you find that article? Because on this particular article, I didn't turn in a clip with it or nothing like that. So she asked me where I found the article, and I showed her the paper that I found the article from, and she looked at it. And when she saw the picture of this little black girl, her hair had these nice little curls with a ribbon around, and had the little pink dress on, and she had a violin in her hand. She looked at the article and it was like the blood drained from her face. Her big smile just drooped, and I'm looking at her like, I felt a sense of accomplishment for some reason. I felt pretty damn good. She looked and she tried to regain her composure. She put it down and walked away. Now I'm thinking in her mind, she couldn't, this is how stereotypes play a role in how a lot of people think. In her mind, this had to be a little girl of a certain ethnicity because she played the violin, and she played it so well that she got national recognition for playing the violin. Open up your mind, people. Open up your mind. And that was my story of the English teacher that was very biased. I'm gonna share one more story with you guys. This is the story of same class, same teacher. The lady had us read from Huckleberry Finn, the Huckleberry Finn book, and she picked certain students to read certain parts and read certain characters out of the book. So the one student, he read Huck's part, and this guy read this other guy's part, and then I read a part. And of course, you know whose part I read. So I'm reading this part, then the other guy read, then the other guy read, then it got back to me. And one of the students, he said, this is bullshit. The teacher said, excuse me? He said, this is not right. It's not fair. He shouldn't have to, you doing him wrong. And I guess they knew what this teacher was doing, and somehow I didn't know. I knew what she was doing when it came to the articles that I had to write every week. But with this, I didn't grasp it for some reason. But that student did. He protested. He actually stood up. And that gave me another view on people and humanity. There are some good human beings out here. Or there are some human beings that when they see something that they don't think is justified, they will stand up and they will say something. And that kid said something, and that stuck with me. I don't remember his name and don't know how to get in touch with him to this day, but I do sometimes wonder what he's doing and what type of adult, what type of human being he turned out to be in this world. So when she had asked him, "What do you mean?" and he said it was wrong, she said, "We're just reading a story." He said, "No, you know what you're doing. The teacher asked us to put the books away, and we never read from Huck Finn again." So those are my stories. I have one more story. This same teacher, I don't know why, and I don't know exactly why. I know why. I don't know exactly why. But this just goes to speak to a person's character. This same teacher invited me to the funeral services of her husband. Don't understand why she did it. I don't even understand why I went, but I did. So I went to the funeral, I'm the only black person there. I look around. Everybody's look like they feeling uncomfortable. I'm feeling uncomfortable because we were at the burial. We didn't go to the funeral services, we went to the burial. And we were standing there, and I'm looking around at all these people. They looking at me, and I'm feeling uncomfortable. And she's got this smirk on her face like she's socking it to somebody. Like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Yeah, what you gonna do about it? Type look. And that let me know how vindictive and treacherous women can be, because she was doing that. She invited me there. My mere presence was disturbing to somebody. It was uncomfortable for me, but it was disturbing to somebody, and she knew it. To this day, I can't shake the thought of all the possibilities of what could have been said or how that could have went wrong in so many different ways. It was a burial, so it was a funeral service, so I didn't, maybe it wouldn't have been too hostile, but it could have gotten there. Could have gone there. So I don't know. It was just a confusing time for me. Uncomfortable moment. Very uncomfortable moment. One of the most uncomfortable moments of my life. And I'm sharing it with you. Thank you for listening. This has been Mr. Maxwell. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down. Either way, I wish you well. I will say it's definitely an experience that I'll never forget. A real teaching lesson in my life. What did I learn, you ask? I learned a couple things. I learned how this woman had her own agenda above and beyond how I would feel about being there. She had her own agenda above and beyond how anybody would feel. She only cared about how she would feel and how the person she was targeting would feel.